Good morning, good evening to some of you. Welcome to It's All About Acrylic. This is, again, another live episode of our Young Nails education. And hopefully today what I'm going to do is answer all of your questions concerning acrylic application, file finishing, anything and everything that has to do with acrylic we're going to cover today. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to be able to do is, one of the most important aspects of acrylic is understanding that it's all about touch and feel. I am a firm believer that liquid to powder ratio doesn't exist. It's basically an old way of communicating how acrylic should work. It's like, to me, that's like listening to an 8-track recorder. It's technology that is outdated and doesn't exist. What I mean by the way it should feel and the way you should handle it, it has everything to do with the amount of liquid you use. And again, depending on the size of brush, you could work with a small, medium, or large. And again, temperature is going to affect the way you work with acrylic. So as colder months roll in, product has a tendency to run. Yes, not self-level, run, okay? So what I want to first of all show you is a couple really cool tips and tricks. When I dispense my liquid, if I actually hold my bottle to the ferrule of the brush, I will be able to dispense my liquid inside my dampen dish without it spilling down the side of the bottle. I want to make sure that I fill my dampen dish. Basically, as you can see, if I bring my brush all the way down to the bottom where it touches, this is how deep my dish is. I am not going to fill it to the top and create Lake Monomer. I want to be able to bring it down so that it rests, the liquid level is basically taller than the very top of my ferrule. This will allow me to rest my brush inside my dampen dish so that if I do get acrylic jammed up inside, I'm going to have something that is going to ensure that I have a nice, supple, and soft brush to work with. Again, you need to work with just enough for your set. You're going to be working with all different kinds of colors, whether it's white, bright pinks, naturals, and again, acrylic mixed with glitter, you don't need a lot. You just need enough to get you through that set. One of the things I want to demonstrate before we actually get into any type of application is how to pick up powder. So what I've done is I've taken a cover pink. It's a cover powder. This is something that's going to mask imperfections in the nail. This is a product that's actually going to give you the ability to create deeper smile lines. I want to submerge my brush. I do not want to do this. I don't want to go to the sides and remove all liquid from all different sides of my brush. This is going to give you inconsistencies. If you submerge your brush all the way down where you see it swollen, you don't need to drag it off. All you need to do is tap one side. This is going to give you the ability, again, to pick up a nice pearl, as you can see, on one side of your brush, so that when you release it, it's going to come off with ease. Okay, now, again, understanding how to pick it up and how to set it down is going to be your first step to success. Please do not do this. Do not take your brush, remove a lot of the liquid, and go water skiing on the surface of your acrylic. As you can see, it's going to give you dandruff, or basically dry residue around the pearl. You have to be able to use the liquid to pick it up properly. And the way to achieve that, again, think of it as like you're petting your pet kitty cat, right? Nice little kitty, 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 kitty. And as you can see, I'm going to get myself a really, really nice pearl. Do you guys notice that the little divot that I've actually placed? I'm giving my brush an opportunity, and I'm going to flatten it out again. I'm going to give my brush an opportunity for me to pick up and continue to go back into the same spot so that I am left with a nice round pearl which the liquid can absorb thoroughly. This is going to give you the ability to press it and release it without it sticking to your brush. Okay, now, what we want to be able to do, again, the first step to acrylic success is understanding how to pick it up and how to set it down. If you are working, again, with a product, if you take your brush and you go from the top, from the side, from the side, from the back, and you sit there and you try to remove liquid, which you're actually removing all the liquid from your brush, you're not going to be able to pick up a pearl. What you're going to pick up is a dry booger, and that's what we do not want to pick up. What we want to be able to pick up is something that is going to be nice and round and absorbs quickly, so that when you set it down to the cuticle area and release it, notice it comes off my brush and it does not run all over the place. I'm going to go ahead and remove this so that you guys can see it one more time. Again, I want to be able to submerge my brush. See this? Submerge my brush, tap, tap, and again, nice little kitty, kitty, kitty. And you can see once I pick it up and I set it down, it releases. And notice, the product has an opportunity to actually run down towards the free edge. This is huge, okay? So it depends on, again, what powders you work with. All powders set differently, right? A lot of the powders that we have are speed set. The cover powders have a medium set to it. And again, the beautiful thing about our powders is that they can be mixed and blended to create your own custom look, which we will get into later. Okay, so now that you understand how much liquid you need, how to remove liquid from your brush, and again, notice I'm tapping on the opposite side. I'm not going to pull it on my side and then pick it up with the side that I just removed it from. I want to be able to tap it on the opposing side. This way, it gives me enough liquid on the opposite side of the brush to pick up a nice, even pearl. Okay, now, again, I'm gonna leave my brush in my dish. What this is going to do is going to make sure that the brush is clean, okay? And what we're going to do before we get into application is we are going to focus on probably the most important aspect when it comes to any type of enhancement application or service is preparation. This is going to guarantee that you're not going to have lifting. Okay, so what we want to be able to do is I want to use my magic wand to push the cuticles back, and then what we want to be able to do again is use, right, a professional electric file. I do not use a drill. If you want a drill, you can go to a hardware store, get yourself a drill and a bucket of screws, and you could practice drilling all you want, right? I am going to use an electric file because this is going to ensure that I'm going to protect my most important assets, and that is my wrists, my shoulder, my back, my body, so that I have a basically nice, fulfilling, long-lasting career doing nails. Notice that when I remove shine, right? Again, I'm not going to hold the hand like this. I want you to get used to using the over grip position. I'm using a medium grit arbor band. Now again, before I start, I want to show you something. This is really, really important. If I need to remove the arbor band from the surface, I could actually hold my brush, do you see this, on the end. I can hold it like this and slide it up. That way it comes right off, right? If it's stuck, another really, really good way of removing it is taking some toenail clippers and just kind of peeling away the edge. You see this? And this way, I can lightly peel away the ends. Lightly peel away the ends so it's easy to remove. Do not yank it off. If you yank it off, what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up pulling this out of the handpiece and probably doing damage to the collet. Okay, so again, I'm going to turn this on at a very low speed. Look at this. If I actually put too much pressure, it'll stop. So I want it, again, gentle. Almost to the point, if I run it on the inside of my wrist, I'm going to lightly tickle. This is a very tender area, correct? So, tickle, 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 coochie, coochie, coo. That's the pressure you want when you're removing shine from the surface of the nail. Watch this. Tickle, tickle, coochie, coo. And what you notice that once I get around the cuticle area, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to start from this corner and work diagonal. Watch. Look at how fast I'm actually able to thoroughly remove shine across the surface of the nail. I'll demonstrate again. Tickle, 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 no pressure. Let the machine do all the work. Tickle, tickle, diagonal, tickle, tickle, all the way through. There is no reason for me to put pressure. Allow the electric file to do all the work for you. Once you are done removing shine from the surface, we are going to use swipe. I'm going to use swipe with, again, a plastic manicure brush. Has some firm bristles, and what this is going to do, it's going to allow me to remove all the oils and contaminants from the surface of the nail. And watch, as I let this breathe, what ends up happening? I have a balanced pH surface. I have a surface ready for protein bond application. I'm going to use protein bond. I'm going to go from cuticle to free edge, okay? And I'm going to do this on both fingers. Actually, I'm going to assume that I'm doing all 10 fingers. Once I am done doing the 10th finger, I'm going to come back and I'm going to apply one more coat. I'm going to do this on all 10 fingers. We're going to allow this to sit, right? Give it a minute. By the time you're done doing the 10th finger, you're going to be ready for application. Okay, so during my classes, one of the most important things I really want to focus on is getting you to let the acrylic flow. The biggest problem I see with a lot of my students is what they do is they hold the fingers too flat. And when they set the acrylic down on the nail, what ends up happening is the product runs this way. What we want to be able to do is get the acrylic to run this way, away from the cuticle area. If you pick up a pearl that is too dry, what ends up happening is you set it down perfect here, and then you have problems walking it to the corner. That is why you usually have lifting here and here, is because the product is too dry. It has to be wet. You have to give the acrylic an opportunity to fuse its way into the protein layer of the natural nail. In order for it to do that, it has to be like that gel-like consistency. You have to have it wet. So, what we're going to practice first is the overlay. And what I want to show you before we work on this finger, I'm going to demonstrate on this just so that you can actually see the product move. I want to be able to, first of all, pick up enough product, right, wet enough where if I set it down and then I tap around the cuticle area, take a look at this. I could actually hold the finger, just hold the finger in place. I'm not even doing anything. I'm allowing the product to run all the way down to the front of the nail. Then I could actually use the body of my brush to tap it into place. Check that out. I didn't do anything. I let the product move on its own. And as you can see, the cuticle area is nice and tight. Again, I used a lot of liquid. I allowed the product to move into place. But again, once you can master balancing the gravity, balancing the amount of liquid you use so the product flows into place, you will be able to do your full sets like that. Okay? So again, that is the first part, again, of the demo. If I'm going to be working on a finger, again, I'm not going to be using that much liquid. I want to use just a hair less. So again, I'm going to submerge my brush. I'm going to get myself a really, really, really nice pearl. I'm going to set it down at the cuticle area. Do you see the space of the cuticle area? This gives me enough room for the tip of my brush to fit around, done. I'm going to use the body. I'm going to balance it all the way through, and you know what? I'm just going to lightly feather it down. Why not? I need to give the acrylic an opportunity to bond all the way to the front of the nail, and as you can see, I have completed my overlay in seconds. For me, the thing I'm looking at is this area right here. The biggest problem that a lot of students or a lot of amateurs, when they are starting with acrylic, the angle of their brush. First of all, if you're looking at this profile right here, this is what they do. They set it down flat and they work it to the side, so they have this gigantic ledge. The tip of the brush, if you're looking at my finger, the tip of the brush has to be flat, That way, when I set it down, that tip can contour around the cuticle area, right? So that I have it nice and tight. You guys, it's not just pushing it to the cuticle area. You have to make sure that when you apply it to the cuticle area, you have basically a nice, ledge-free application. Ledge-free. Not just here, we're talking all the way around. All the way around, okay? This is really important when it comes to everything that you do. This is going to be really important when it comes to reverse application. So the reason why we are focusing on the overlay first is because for those of you who struggle with just getting product on, this is going to be a really, really good way for you to get used to what we call good consistency, right? Great, basically feel and touch. Because when it comes to it, if you don't have great feel and touch with acrylic, you're always going to struggle. Do we have any questions? Okay, so moving on to the next thing. These are not ready to file. We're going to move on to the next application. So what I want to be able to show you is the sculptured nail. So the nice thing about this hand is it gives you the opportunity to be able to do that. I am going to actually clip away the free edge. And what I'm left with is this nice, as you can see, balanced tip. I'm going to actually use my hand file just to come around the edge to make it nice and soft. And as you can see, I actually have a nice edge, nice little ledge to work off of. I am a true believer in sculptured nails. Again, for those of you who tip, that's fantastic, but I hope that one day I could lead you to successful sculpting, because successful sculpting leads to successful backfills or rebalancing and maintenance. It's very hard to rebalance a tip because you have this plastic piece that's glued to the front of the nail. I'm going to use this form, and the nice thing about these forms is how sticky they are. When I take my tab, I am going to place it like this. I am not going to place it like this, okay? I don't want to place it like this. I want to place it like this. And the reason why is because the whole bottom surface stays sticky. Now, when I pre-pinch my forms, this is a routine that I go through, I'm only going to pinch the very front of the nail. This is going to leave basically a nice opening, right, that I can pucker when I open it up. As you can see, I have a nice C-curve on the back end of the form. This is the most important thing. When you put your forms on, you need to make sure that you are touching the very front of the free edge. It's nice and flush. This is where I want to secure the sides. I don't want to clamp the top. I want to be able to hold the sides just like this, right? That way I can pucker it, and as you can see from the side profile, it's nice, and as you can see, look at this. Look at my lower arch. My lower arch is going to be completely straight right off of my growth channel. If my form was on crooked with space, right, I'm on track to build an eagle claw, right? We're not into building eagle claws unless that's what your client wants. What we want to be able to build is something with a really, really straight lower arch, okay? Your lower arch comes off of the growth channel and extends straight out. We are going to work with basically a square free edge first so that you guys can see. We do have one question. Yes?
We have several people asking about nail biters and what size brush they should use.
Okay, so we have a bunch of people asking about nail biters and what size brush they should use. So let's go ahead and convert this nail into a nail biter's finger. And let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to take this and I'm just going to clip this straight across like this and push it back up. Look at that. That is like the perfect, right, representation for someone who chews their fingers back. They got all this excess skin that builds up on the nail. They have all this excess skin around the side. And when you're trying to put a regular nail form on, you can't fit it. There's always that gigantic space that's right here. So I'm gonna show you a really cool trick. This is in one of my form videos, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the form, I'm going to clip it dead straight, just like this. I'm going to make sure that we place the form, check this out, bam, just like that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take that piece and it's going to rest on the skin right up to the front of the nail. Look at this. Check that out. Sick. Look how perfect that is. This is how you're going to get forms on someone who can't keep their hands out of their grill, right? This is what you want to be able to do. So again, the best part about doing this is if I actually take a really small amount, and again, if I think the product is too wet, watch this. I'm actually going to drain it on my towel, and what this is going to do, it's going to give it a nice, basically firm consistency to work with. What I'm actually able to do is use the body of my brush to set it down. I'm actually able to use the tip of my brush to create a nice platform. This is one way I like to work, right? That way, as you can see, I've just extended the natural nail. Now, the best part about this as well, as you can see, I have a nice flat platform. right? I have a nice flat platform. So if I wanted to create any type of length, and again, notice I don't close these off. The forms that we manufacture are so sticky that if you secure to the side, I'm telling you, your client could try to shake these forms off and they will not come off. Watch this. I'm going to take the same product, I'm going to pick up, right? I'm going to get a really, really nice pearl. I'm going to set it, again, if I think it's too wet, I'm going to tap off the liquid. I'm going to set it right here to the cuticle area. I'm going to use the tip of my brush. I'm going to walk it around my cuticle area. I'm going to slightly bring it down to the smile line, making sure that everything is nice and tight all the way around. And then I'm going to use the side of my brush. And what we're going to do is ensure that we have this really nice smile line from side to side. But you guys see that I'm not fighting the product. I had enough liquid on my brush so that when I set it down, take a look at my smile line on top. Dope. Don't have to do anything. And honestly, if you're looking down this profile right here, I want to show you guys something crazy. Check this out. Look at that. That is exactly what I want you to see. If you guys are looking down this profile right here, perfect. You guys notice that the thickness from this side to this side is exactly the same. And actually, when you look at the top of it, it's flat, right? If my sides were pushed in, I would have problems with the corners of my smile line when I end up filing, okay? So, again, it just takes a little bit of practice. I'm going to ensure that my smile line is going to be built out to perfection, and then whatever you decide that you want to work with, I'm going to use speed white because, again, white is a different consistency than everything else. I'm going to show you guys something. Because of the levels of titanium dioxide and just the way that our titanium dioxide is actual pigment used to create that white level, if I use too much liquid and I set it down on the form without draining it, what ends up happening is the white ends up running all over the place. And then I end up struggling with my application. So what I want to show you is how to prevent this problem from happening. If I take my brush and I pick up a really, really nice pearl of white, watch this. I'm going to drain just like this. Again, remember, I don't have anything on the back side of my brush, so I'm actually able to drain the liquid just for a few seconds, and watch this. When I set it down, oh my gosh, it's like clay. I mean, seriously, look at this. I can sit here and play with this as long as I want without having it basically get away from me, okay? So, I want to be able to take that same technique and apply it to the application. There's another question. Yes?
Do you do one form at a time, or do you?
No, the best part about when you're working on this hand, yes, I want you guys to do one form at a time. When you're working on a real client, you could put all 10 forms on and they won't come off. What it'll actually prevent your client from doing is playing with their hair, right? Or basically messing up whatever you have built out. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to take a really, really nice pearl. I'm going to get a really, really large white pearl. I'm going to drag off, or basically, as you guys can see, I'm tapping off all the excess liquid. I'm going to set that right to the very front of my nail, and what I like to do, I like to square it off. Watch this. Start from the center, work it down the side, get it even, walk from the top. Even, walk from the top. Even, tuck it up, back over the top. Even, walk from the top. Even, walk from the top. Even, walk from the top. Done. What I was able to do in a really, really fast motion is get my sides completely even. I'm not really concerned whether it's absolutely perfect. I went back inside my dampen dish to clean off my edges, but as you can see, right, as you can see, I have a little bit of acrylic that actually went up onto the paint. Who cares? If you're missing product, the best part about our system is I could actually take a little bit of white and I could just apply it right to where I want it and blend it through, okay? There is no reason why you can't do this, right? It's reverse. So you'll see that I actually have built out a perfectly square tip. And again, I was able to do that because of this. I'm going to go through the process one more time. I'm just going to put it on here and I'm going to build it on this front. If this was an imaginary smile, right? If this was an imaginary smile, for me to get the white to that corner, I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to take the product and then set it down without draining your brush and then go like this. Oh my gosh, it's too wet. I'm just going to slide everything up into the corner. What ends up happening is you end up sliding the majority of the product to the side and you leave nothing in the front. You have to, look at this. You have to walk it down. You see my growth channel? Bring it even with my growth channel. Walk it from the top. Even from the top. Even from the top. And you will build perfection around the sides. It's all technique. Yes?
They would like to know about length of the nail, and do you ever use tips?
So someone wanted to know about length of the nail. I'm trying to keep my free edge no longer than the body. If I build a tip that is longer than the body, I cannot guarantee it. If my client wants that, I'll give it to her. If she's willing to pay for it, I'll give it to her. But she has to understand that my guarantee is no longer than the length of her nail bed. If she bites her nails, again, if her nails are this short, same exact thing. Length is determined based on what structure the actual natural nail can hold the enhancement. The other question was, do I ever use tips? No, I don't use tips. Never. Well, I'm a firm believer that tips are for cheaters, but again, that's my own personal opinion. If you use tips, I totally understand. The reason why I don't use tips is this. When you glue a tip on, right, when you have to change this to a different color, it's really hard to remove that tip without having to soak it off, because it's not easy to clip off because the plastic, again, it doesn't shatter across. If I wanted to change out this nail to a different color, it's easy for me to clip it off because it's solid acrylic. Okay, now, what I'm going to do, as the nail dries, you're going to notice, right, as I can remove the form, you're going to notice that I'm actually able to pinch in an IC curve. How long does that take? Honestly, it could take up to, I would say, 4 minutes. You start to feel, right, that you can pinch it within the 3 to 4 minute range. At 5, you're not going to be able to do anything. I'm using the magic wand, again, to fold in my sides to make sure that it's nice and tight. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on file finishing. Okay, first of all, when it comes to file finishing, it's a combination of many things. You have to use your hand file, right, to be able to shape the nail to perfection, right? You have to use your electric file to remove excess product. That way, you're not spending all day burning your wrists out. Can you zoom out? I want to explain something to you guys. For those of you who work in a salon and do nails all day long, right? The last thing you want to feel at the end of the day is, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to go back and do this again tomorrow. You want to be able to be like, I'm ready to rock and roll tomorrow, right? And in order for you to do that, your body has to feel good. That is why you need to learn how to use this properly. This doesn't do damage to the natural nail. What does damage to natural nails is bad nail techs. That's what jacks people's nails up. And obviously consumers who like to pick it off their fingers. But honestly, if you guys have the skills, you will basically create something that everyone wants. Okay, so when I'm going to show you something really exciting, I'm going to use my hand file, and the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take down the edges of my file, right, so that I do not cut my client. I want to focus on a few factors. I need to make sure that my sidewalls are completely straight. And what I mean by completely straight, look at this. See, the only thing I'm looking at is the blue side of the file. I'm not going like this, right? I'm keeping it dead straight. I'm keeping it dead straight. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to taper the front. So 1, 2, 3. Let me show you how to get underneath. See how it's hanging? Look at how this part of the free edge is lower than my sides. I do not want to do this. I don't want to put my hand file into the corner and start pulling. What's going to end up happening is I'm going to end up building a ledge, a big, I'm going to build a square, right? This is what I do not want to build, a ledge on the side, right? And if you go like this, you will do that. I'll show you right here on this finger. If I take my hand, if I take my file and I file like this is what it does. Take a look. You see that? You see that little ledge that's created? That ledge is created because basically the file wasn't lined up properly. What you have to do is you have to turn the hand to the side, you have to line the file at the tip, and you have to file until it reaches the corner. Take a look. Reaches the corner, and as you can see, I'm actually going to build a really, really nice straight sidewall. Look at this. Perfectly straight. Ah, nice. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm going to line the file at the tip. I'm going to continue to file until my file reaches the side and I have a perfectly straight lower arch. This is going to ensure that you have perfection, not just here and here and here. You're going to actually have it from underneath. So 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Okay? It's different when you're doing an oval shaped nail, an almanetto or stiletto. You don't have this point to file, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's the same exact thing. What we're going to focus on after we are done is removing excess, and take a look. The excess is all right in here. This is all the excess. We are so pumped. We have a new bit that we're launching the beginning of the year, and we finally have a safety bit for acrylic. This is a much coarser bit. This is going to ensure that you're going to be able to get through acrylic. I know everyone was really happy with our safety bit. We were issued a patent number on the actual design, and super proud to be able to represent with something that's going to help you guys get to the next level. The first thing we want to be able to do again is learn how to hold the hand. For those of you guys who hold the hand, your question? Yes. For those of you guys who hold the hands like this, the problem is this part of your hand starts to cramp. We want to be able to hold the hand over the top so that I can actually get a side profile. I can go around the cute. Look how easy it is for me to be able to maneuver the finger from side, top to side, top to side. All right? If I turn on my electric file, for those of you guys who are right-handed, you want to work on forward. For those of you guys who are left-handed, you work in reverse. So again, I'm going to look down the side, and what we're going to do is we're going to file straight down the middle in order to ensure that we have a nice upper arch. Now, once I am done shaping through the middle, what we're focusing on is the I formation. So if you guys see, it's like a letter I, here, here, and here. Once I am done shaping through the center, I'm going to look down the barrel of the nail and I'm going to pull in one direction. I don't need to pull that hard. The machine will do all the work for me. And as you can see, as I'm pulling behind my smile line, look what I'm left with. I'm left with a smile line that's going to look like it's cut with a razor blade, right? Again, I'm going to go around the cuticle area in one direction. I can go right up to the skin, and then I'm just going to follow through to ensure that I have great application. Look at this. I'm not going side to side. All I'm doing is pulling through to see that I have basically a nice even surface. Once I am done removing excess using the I formation, and again, let me stress to you, when I am working at the side, I am not going from this side to this side to this side. When you do that, when you go from side to side, this is what happens. The bit will spin around the nail. You have to be able to set it in the middle, so if I'm looking at the side, and work from the very top of the barrel to the bottom of the barrel in one direction. Lift it, set it. Lift it, set it, all the way through. Okay, once I am done, I'm going to take my hand file. I'm going to work around the cuticle area. You don't need to work that hard. Look at this. Everything is going to blend nice and tight. I don't need to spend a lot of time filing it. All I'm doing is refining all the scratch marks that I have on the nail. I'm going to turn the hand to the side, actually like this, so that I can see, right? I want to be able to see my client profile. Okay, yeah, so you guys see the same thing that I see, right? It's a little bit high on one side, so I want to be able to ensure that it's nice and even from side to side. And then I want to look down this profile right here, right? And this is going to ensure with my hand file that I have it nice and even from side to side. Take a look at this. Look what I'm left with, right? I'm left with a really, really sharp, right, sculptured acrylic. I have a beautiful upper arch. I have a nice C-curve. I have really tight. I have tight everything, and that's what it comes down to. And you know, again, when you're spending time finishing the nail, I don't need to sit here and buff it. Oh, I need to buff this and buff this and buff this until it's really, really smooth. If you buff the nail until it's really smooth, your finishing gel is not going to stick well to the surface. I just want to touch the surface. I'm going to use swipe to cleanse it, and then what I want to be able to do, I'm going to take finished gel, all right, and I'm going to apply a really nice coat from cuticle to free edge. Really nice coat from cuticle to free edge, and as you can see, that is what I'm left with, right? That is what I'm left with. Okay? What is? Okay, so zoom on out. So one of the questions was they're having lifting at the tip of the nail. This is a really easy fix for that problem. First of all, if your client wants to keep their natural nails, you have to understand that as the natural nail grows and is attached to the acrylic enhancement, right? If it is not moisturized daily with oil, that basically keratin becomes dry and will pull away from the enhancement, will curl away from the enhancement, creating separation. So one of the things that you can do is you can take cuticle oil, sell your client a bottle, have them drip a nice gentle amount underneath the free edge, basically morning and night for the 2 weeks, and it will honestly, it will reduce the separation dramatically. Any other questions? So for a beginner, what size brush do I recommend? I recommend using basically a number 8 or a number 9. Our artistic sculptor, our master brush for acrylic is perfect. Again, there's a lot of people that use a lot of big brushes, and again, you have to understand, if you see people using big brushes, that doesn't mean it's right for you. You have to have good balance. You have to know how to get the product to move without you really doing anything. Starting off with a number 8 or a number 9 is a guarantee that you're going to have success. And working on those fundamentals, learning how to pick it up, learning how to set it down, learning to get the acrylic to run is going to lead to a lot of great things. And I'm going to demonstrate that when it actually comes to color. Take a look at this. This is completely done. I'm going to actually take a little bit of cuticle oil. I'm going to work it around the edge. And what we've got is a nice, there we go, shiny surface. You know, I used to be so picky that it's so funny. I used to be so picky about, I'd see something and be like, oh my gosh. You guys have to understand one thing, and I'm here to explain something to you. When you guys are working on your nails, to be able to master the application, if you are picky, your clients are going to be picky. Okay, there's a lot of people that want to know how to adhere crystals. I can tell you guys right now that the best way is a combination between good cyanoacrylate, which is a good glue, and gel. You have to find a glue where the stone will adhere, right? Give you enough time that you will be able to place a little bit of gel around the edge so that it's secure. But just remember one thing. Once you get it on, right, the only way to get them off is to use nippers to basically break them off, right? Or, because if you secure it with gel, there's no way to be able to break that bond. Okay, so we have fill before cut, tons of questions. Let's go ahead and prep this, and then we're going to explain to you rebalancing. So the customer comes back after 2 weeks, and we end up filling it, and then what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go through the whole entire surface and prep this. We're assuming the nail has grown. The nail has grown from here to here. So what I have to do is I have to gently remove the shine around the growth, right? And what I want to be able to do is remove shine basically up to the smile line. I don't need to take it off the front, right? If I'm removing finished gel from the whole entire surface, it's a waste of time because I'm going to end up cutting this area out. What we want to be able to do once we remove gel from the surface is we have to do our fill first, okay? So, once we're done removing, basically prepping the natural nail. Look, for those of you guys who are obviously a little bit reluctant or a little hesitant in removing shine from the growth area here, I want to explain something to you. Once this area grows out to here, do you know how difficult it is to use this to come around and remove shine around the cuticle area? It's basically impossible. It's impossible. Unless you want to soak it off every single time they come back, which you don't have time to do. I want you guys to be able to get to a level where you do not need to soak at all. You can rebalance the structure, change color out without running into issues, without having to use a harsh solvent to basically remove and reapply. Okay, so once we're done removing, right, the gel from the surface around the natural nail, I'm going to use swipe to clean it. I'm going to apply protein bond to the exposed natural nail. If I get a little bit of protein bond on the acrylic, it's not going to make any difference at all. I'm going to choose the same color, right, that we worked with. And again, I want to be able to, again, not just fill this area here. You have to remember that this acrylic is going to grow out, okay? So, again, I'm working on something that I just applied, so I'm gonna make the best of this, but you have to remember one thing. If I take acrylic and I set it down to the cuticle area and I fill the growth, I'm not just filling the growth. I have to make sure that I bring enough acrylic down to the existing smile line. So I just brushed the front end, but I didn't brush it all the way. Take a look. Do you see the buildup that I actually created, right? There's enough thickness around behind the cuticle area where I'm actually going to be able to cut in a new smile line. I do not want to build another nail on top of a nail. I want to be able to fill, again, the growth area, and I need to establish enough acrylic around and down to the smile line so that when I cut behind it, I'm going to be able to rebalance the smile line from this position back to here. Now we're going to let this dry and I'm going to demonstrate on here how you're going to make that cut, okay? Let me just go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and clip off the tip because I have all of this, I have plastic underneath. And there's acrylic here that I'm going to demonstrate because for those of you guys who do not understand basically how to cut in the smile line, right? You have to remember, so we're looking at the same size body and we're assuming that there's white here. I need to come from this corner to this corner. I cannot, first of all, use this bit. This is a sanding band. This is a finishing bit and used for preparation. I cannot use my safety bit because there is no edge. What I have to use is this. I have to use an X cut. I have to use something that actually has a sharp edge. Now, again, for those of you guys who are lefties, we actually have a left-handed version as well, okay? Take a look at this. When I am making my cut, right, you have to understand one thing. I am not making my cut with this edge. I am not coming around and making my cut like this. I have to cut with this part of my barrel. I have to cut with this part of my barrel. This is zone 1. I am not going to use zone 2 or 3. I need to focus all my attention here, not on the edge. Now, in order for you to do that, you have to be in this position. You have to be in an overgrip position. That way, you can come from corner to center and then readjust and go from center to corner. You see that? Can you zoom out? I want to show them something. Take a look at this. Here's a perfect example. If I am like this and I try to come in and cut, look what ends up happening. My hand runs into my hand. If I am over the top like this with my wrist resting here, I'm able to come, can you get in close? I'm able to come in, perfect. I'm able to come in from corner to center, and then right when I get to center, I want to readjust. My thumb slides underneath, and what I'm doing is I'm lifting the finger as I come and cut. Lifting the finger as I come and cut, okay? It's on the video, and for those of you guys who have had an opportunity to come and work with me for a week, trust me, on the day where we are forcing you to cut smile lines in, that is all you will be doing all day long. Okay, so what we want to be able to do, I want to be able to break this down into 2 parts, and I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do. We're going to start from this corner, we're going to work to this center, and then we're going to work from this center back to this corner. So I have 2 points, I have actually 3 points, right? Think of it as a lower part of a clock, right? I need to work from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, okay? And I'm not trying to do it in one. Greg, how much pressure do I use so that I don't go all the way down to the natural nail? Look, you guys, you're working with an acrylic that's quite soft. So, again, if your barrel is at this angle, and let me show you what it looks like from the front. It looks like this. This is what it looks like I'm doing. See that? Take a look at the angle of my barrel. I'm at this point, and when I finish, my barrel is actually going to end up in the same position. It's going to end up like this. I'm not up like this or flat. It is at this angle. Why? Because the natural nail is convex. The barrel has to run parallel to the surface of the nail in order for you to cut without skipping. So, watch. Mira. I'm actually going to take this barrel. I am going to come in from the corner. 1, right? 2, 3. All right, then I can come back. 1, 2, 3. So look at this. I was actually able to cut in that really nice amount. Look at this, from here to here. I didn't use a lot of pressure. The barrel is going to do all the work for me. Now, what I want to be able to do is run real gentle all the way around the corner. I lifted the finger up all the way around the corner. I didn't push in. What I did is I used the edge for me to follow all the way around. Then I can come back and do my detail. Once I am done cutting in my smile line, as you can see, right? For those of you guys who are just learning the technique, switch it out to a diamond bit. Go on a really low speed, and then this is what you're going to actually use to shape without having to worry about cutting. Take a look at this. I can take my diamond bit, look at this. I can take my diamond bit and I can run it on my skin, and I'm never going to cut my skin. This is a fantastic way for you to come through and refine anything that needs to be detailed. And again, at the end of the day, once you guys actually, that's a cross-cut diamond, and it's in medium. So watch this. If I'm not happy, I could always come through and I could use my hand file to refine my smile line. So look at what I'm left with. If I want to change the color of my free edge from yellow to blue, from blue to pink, from pink to gold, to mylar, confetti, any kind of design, isn't it easy for you just to remove the tip, cut in the smile line, put a new form on, change out the design, boom, just like that. So going back, right, to this finger right here, if we were going to change this out, or if we were going to actually remove this, again, I have to bring the length back just a hair, and I want to show you. I'm going to use my X-cut, okay? I'm going to use my X-cut. I'm going to turn it on, and again, I want to show you guys on my electric file. Take a look at this real fast. I am running this. Right, it's a little blurry right now. As you guys can actually see, let me change this. You see the knob? If I change it, I don't want it faster, right, than that green light. That's fast enough. I don't need to go past it. That right there is fast enough for me to do my preparation. If I turn it on, my prep work, it's basically a little less than half, right, when I'm using my arbor band. When I'm cutting in my smile line, the fastest I need to work with it is going to be right there. All right, so I'm going back to the snail. And again, I'm going to do the exact same thing, okay? Going right back to the snail, and what I want to be able to do is come behind, cut, cut, cut. I'm going to drop, I'm going to lighten up my grip, and as you can see, I'm working all the way around. I'm actually able to cut in my smile line, right? And look at this. I could actually use my barrel to thin out the tip in one direction, front to back, front to back, front to back. Let's go ahead and change it out to my diamond bit. Do you see how fast it took me to make that cut? It was seconds. I'm actually going to take in my diamond. I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to run it around the edge to get the detail that I need. Perfect. And again, if I need to do any type of rebalancing with my hand file, I can do that. And what I'm left with is a really beautiful cut from corner to corner. I brought it back just a little bit, and it's going to leave me the opportunity, right, to put in my basically my new white. We go ahead and dust this off. Remember, we already did the fill. We already did the fill first. I don't need to worry about this. Yes.
They would like to know how to do deep swirlings, and is it necessary to switch those bits out? Do you have to use the diamond bit back?
No, it's not necessary to use the diamond bit. It's basically a technique that I was explaining that it helps you come in close. It helps me, like, instead of, for those of you guys who are starting or learning the procedure, if you come in with a really, really sharp bit and you're putting a lot of pressure, you don't want to go all the way through. You want to use light pressure as you're coming through to notch in basically your smile line. Because I'm in this position, because I'm, again, in an overgrip position, I'm actually able to come in and cut in. Take a look at how deep my smile line is going to be. My smile line is deep. It's the same depth as I built it in reverse application. It's so hard to cut a deep smile line when you hold the hand like this, because you can't get the barrel all the way around. You have to be in this position so that you can lift the finger and drop it into the slot, right? Once I am done doing that, if there is any natural nail showing, I'm actually going to take protein bond. I'm going to run it around. I'm going to make sure that we're going to take our white. And again, a little bit different consistency. I'm going to swipe it off. While it's wet, I'm just going to lightly push it into place, right up to my smile line, almost like gel, right? Giving it an opportunity to self-level. Look at that. Letting it self-level into place. All right, and as you guys can see, my white is now rebalanced, and I have a new structure ready to file. Done, right? That is how you're going to do fill before cut. This is what you have to practice so that for those of you guys who do a lot of acrylic and want to change out designs in less than an hour, this is the only way to do it. There is no other way. All right. Any questions?
A lot of people are wondering about pricing of full sets.
So a lot of people, the question was, everyone wants to know pricing on full sets and fills. A really great way to think about it is this. First of all, you're not going to base your pricing on what your competition down the street is offering. If someone is down the street offering $10 fills, that's probably what they're going to get, a $10 fill, right? You're not here to offer them garbage services. What you want to be able to offer them is something that you can guarantee is going to last, and obviously the service is different from everybody else's. Let me explain. I charge, okay, $60 an hour. So again, $60 an hour for my work. It's $1 a minute. So if you come in and you get a French set of sculptured nails, active length, $60. Every time you add something custom to that, it's a la carte. Price goes up. So there is no difference when it comes to maintenance. If you call it a backfill and your full set prices start at $60 and you're like, well, for my backfill, I'm only going to charge $35. I'm going to charge $25 for my fill and $35 for my backfill. And it takes you just as long to do your backfill as your full set, you're losing money. So you have to be able to basically get fast. You have to be able to remove and reapply in less time than it takes you to do a full set, and it's not that far off. If your full set prices start at $60, your rebalancing starts at probably around $50 to $55. And you're not basically promoting it as something that is replacing, right, the old product. What you're doing is you're making the old look like new. And you're basically making sure the integrity of the natural nail stays in perfect condition as well. Remember, it's a service. They're coming to you because you are amazing. They're coming to you because you do amazing work. They're coming to you because you look after the natural nails. They're coming to you because you use an electric file without jacking up their hands. They're coming to you because you do designs, your smile lines, your glitter, your artwork, your speed. Everything is on par with greatness. That is why you can justify those prices. If you can't get to that level, then there's something that we can help you achieve.
Do you only use clear powder when doing glitter? And how would you change from a pink and white to glitter tip? Would you do the Acrylic tip cut?
That's exactly correct. So one of the questions was, how do we change out from pink and white to glitter? So this, again, right, this was a full nail. I clipped off the tip, right, and then I cut in my smile line, right? And so if this was pink and white, I clipped off my tip. If you're doing a sculptured nail, it's a lot easier for you to clip off the tip. If you have a tip, a plastic tip, you cannot remove it, right? It's really difficult. So if you want to change it from pink and white to glitter, you use the same technique, but you clip the tip off, you cut your smile line, you take your form, you put it underneath, right? And depending on what style you guys want to be able to do, if I'm going to do an oval shape, I'm going to pinch my form, I'm going to slightly curve it down, right? And depending on what you want to be able to do, another question was, do I mix my glitter with clear powders? And the answer is yes. And I'm going to show you why. Because anything you add to a powder slows it down. Anything. Okay? So let me show you the easiest way to be able to make a mix. I am actually going to take Speed Clear, and I am going to be able to put in just enough, and as you guys can see, I have it right up to this point right here. Look at that. That's the level. Right to that ledge. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a combination of colors. I have this amazing amount of basically custom glitter mixes. Our glitters are different than everybody else's. And what I mean by that is we basically use all cosmetically approved pigments. They are solvent resistant to all levels. You're going to have great results. You're not going to have fading. You're not going to have discoloration. You're just going to have greatness. So let's go ahead and take a few color combinations. I'm going to take Surf, I'm going to take Island Palm, and I'm going to take Incredible Green, and we're going to give a little bling to it. And what we want to be able to do is add a little bit of Rockstar, okay? So I'm going to take 4 glitters. And what we want to be able to do is start off with the darkest glitter first. And notice how much I've actually mixed in. Poured a lot in. Cover the whole entire surface. I'm going to take Surf. I'm going to do the same exact thing, okay? Just a dash. I'm going to take Incredible Green. I'm going to add it to the surface again. I don't want to overflow it. And then what I want to be able to do is take Rockstar. I'm going to do the same exact thing. Now, watch this. I'm not going to take the back of my brush and stir it. I want to be able to use my cap. Perfect. And I'm going to roll it just like a bottle of polish. I'm going to roll and roll. Look at this. I'm not going like this. I'm actually, look at this. I'm rolling the jar, spinning it. I don't want to go like this. This does nothing. You want to roll it to shake it, okay? And as you can see, what ends up happening is I build this really killer mix. And what I'm going to do is you're going to see, I'm going to actually get a really wicked combination. Hard to explain what this looks like. Ramon's going to get in real tight so you can see, and it actually looks like kryptonite. Look at that, sick. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm actually going to take this mix, and again, if I'm working on a nail just like this, the best part about it is I can take my glitter, I can build my free edge, I can apply it right to the very, very front, wipe my brush, I'm going to tuck this right up to my smile line, right? I'm going to make sure, again, notice I didn't slide to the corner, I just brought it straight up. right? And that way what I'm going to be able to do is build it right up to the edge. And again, if it gets away from you, all you need to be able to do is get it right back into balance. Cutting in your smile line is going to ensure that you have basically a beautiful ledge to work off of, right? And as you can see, as you guys can see, I'm actually able to convert a nail that was pink and white to a glitter, okay? Now, here's the thing. Once you build this glitter-free edge, you're not done yet. You have to ensure that you cap it with clear so that when you file it, you do not file into the glitter and basically ruin it. I have to make sure that I take a really thin level of speed clear, and what I want to be able to do is cap it. What it's going to do is add strength, and it's going to basically prevent you from filing into your glitter and ruining the nail that you just built, okay? Perfect. So we're gonna let this dry out. Do we have any questions?
Yes, what would you recommend for nail biters, acrylic or gel, or does it matter?
So that's a great question. Someone asked, what would you recommend for nail biters? Would you recommend acrylic or gel? My recommendation, honestly, when you start in a nail biter, is acrylic. Think of it this way, right? When you break your arm, right, you don't go to the doctor and they say, just get some rest and it's going to heal. What they do is they put a cast on your arm and they set it. It gives a chance for the bone to mend, gives a chance for the bone to heal and get strong again. There's no difference when you're dealing with a bitten nail. When you're dealing with a bitten nail, the nail grows wide and flat. So what we want to be able to do is we need to be able to create a cast to bring those side walls in. Right? You'll notice here, if I want to bring my sidewalls in, I want to be able to pinch the nail. You're going to be able to do that with acrylic. You could use your acrylic as a cast to set the free edge, to create a tip, mold the free edge so it grows straight. And then if you want to fill it with gel, you can do that. But starting them off on acrylic to get their natural nail on the right path is your key to success. Okay, we're going to let these dry out, and then I'm going to... Okay, so someone wanted me to line out the bits and explain to them what they're used for. Okay, so I have an arbor band, and I'm going to show you guys, right? This right here is a mandrel. So if I apply it, I'm going to go ahead and break these all out so that you guys can see. We have a mandrel, we have a diamond bit, we have a safety bit coarse, we have a safety bit fine, and then we have an X cut. So, right, this is my arsenal. This one right here, again, the best part about this is used for preparation. So this is a prep bit and a finishing bit. If I want to remove it, as you guys can see, it can slide straight off, and then I can get a new bit, slide it right back on, just like that, and it's ready to go, okay? If you put this bit on and you notice that it's actually wobbling, chances are your mandrel is bent and you need a new one. Okay, let's go to this bit right here. This is an X cut which has a sharp edge. Great for cutting in smile lines, great for basically removing bulk. This is a bald version of this. This is brand new. This will be available in January. So for those of you guys who are worried about going around the cuticle because of this edge, this is going to be the bit that is going to give you the confidence to take down the thickness and the excess without basically cutting your client. We have a fine version, which is the safety bit. This is great for gels. This is also great for fills. I recommend using this bit when you're getting around the cuticle area because it'll flake away any kind of separation so that you don't put a line in the customer's natural nail. And again, your diamond bit is also a finishing bit. Great for surface finishing. It's a great prep bit if you're doing basically fills. It's a lot easier to get this area. You'll notice with this bit, it's diamond, but you can't, it has no edge, you can't cut. So at a really, really low speed, if I needed to get in really tight an area where there is skin built up, this bit is fantastic for doing prep work.
How do you clean your bits?
So someone wanted to know how to clean our bits. Okay, so not sanitize, but truly disinfect. We don't use acetone to disinfect stainless steel. Why? Because they will rust. Nothing can survive in acetone. It is the harshest solvent. But when you are working with hard products like carbide and diamonds, watch this. I can actually take acetone and I can let them soak in acetone to remove any debris and kill basically anything that's in there. So I usually have 2 sets of bits. I use these. The nice thing about this one right here is if I do need to remove it, I can chuck it after I'm done, and I can put a new arbor band on top, right, to ensure cleanliness. It's a brand new one.
Put it in a disinfectant.
You can put in a disinfectant, 100%. But trust me, you want to start off by submersing it in acetone first to remove any of the hard substances that have caked onto your bit. Leave it in, and if you want to submerge it in a basically approved disinfectant, it's no problem at all, minimum of 10 minutes.
How do you get nails to look cohesive, all 10 look cohesive, even when the nails themselves?
How do you get the nails to look cohesive, all 10 nails by themselves? So one of the things you have to be able to do is you'll notice that once I actually have the nail on, right, it really is a matter of being able to make sure that each finger is the same length. So I remember when I was actually teaching people to compete, and one thing I learned from an old friend of mine is that you don't line up the hands side to side to see that they're even. The only way to actually get them to be perfectly even is if you actually take their knuckles, oh no, and I actually line up their cuticles just like this, right? So if I line my cuticles like this, you're going to be able to get perfection. You're going to be able to get them nice and even from side to side. Let me put Sally back together here. Okay, so again, turning the hand to the side, lining up all of the fingers from cuticle to free edges is going to determine perfection. That's how you're going to make them even from basically this hand to this hand, is by lining the hands like this, and you'll be able to do that with your clients. Line them at the knuckles and coming straight down, and that way you're going to be able to get perfection on both sides, not side to side. Now, again, once you're done file finishing, what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to look at client profile. You have to look at this profile. This way, you're going to be able to get them nice and even from side to side. This is the client profile, looking at it from this angle right here, right? If you try to make them even by just going like this, it's going to be very difficult to get them absolutely perfect. You have to look at this profile, because when your client's done, the first thing they're going to look at is this profile right here, client profile. Okay? Any other questions?
Ski slope nails, which method do you use for that?
For what?
Ski slope nails.
So someone asked, what method do we use for ski slope nails? You have to remember that if the natural nail is sloping at the very edge, you have to try to remove as much of the free edge as you possibly can. That way you're not setting yourself up with a huge gap, right? You're not setting yourself up with a huge gap to start. If the person's natural nail is jumping all the way up past, try to clip away as much of the free edge as you can. And what you want to be able to do is get them on a program so that you can pinch the natural nail and force it to grow with a C-curve. If you just apply product and you don't pinch it, it's going to be really, really hard. Usually in a condition like that, I will try to actually build a beautiful structure with a cover product. Let me give you an example. if a customer comes in and they have ski slope nails, right? Let's say their edge of their nail, let's say this edge of their nail is ski slope right here. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to clip away as much of that edge as I possibly can without obviously going all the way back to the hyponychium. I want to be able to create the least amount of natural nail so that when I get the form on, I'm actually going to be able to pinch it into shape. One of the products that you can use to really help them solve this problem, let me go ahead and remove the shine from the surface of the nail. Really quick preparation. I'm going to use protein bond. I'm going to remove the oils, contaminants from the surface of the nail. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply protein bond, and we're going to do a couple different things here. We're going to, I'm going to cover a couple questions at once. She wants to know how to fix the ski slope. One of the things that you can do is do this. You can actually get your form on, okay? Get your form on, and once you actually get your form onto the natural nail, what we're going to do is this. Instead of actually doing a two-tone nail, we're not going to start off doing a French nail, especially when you have something that is launching up at the very, very tip. There's no need to make it difficult from the beginning. What I can do is take a product like blush, right, that has a little bit of glitter inside, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a full well tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take, let's get a little bit more product, sorry. I'm going to take enough product, right, and what I'm going to do, again, look at this. I'm actually going to build my free edge right up to her nail, just like I'm actually applying a full well tip. Notice how I actually covered the whole front of her nail, right? So as you guys can see, what I've done is I've built this. And what I would do is, instead of finishing off this nail, I would actually move on to the next nail. I will give this enough time to dry, right? Enough time to dry within 4 minutes, that within 4 minutes I can come in and I can actually pinch, I can pinch it right here at the edge, pinch it right here in the edge, and what's going to end up happening, the nail that's growing up is actually going to grow straight. So you could use your acrylic to solve that problem nail by actually building a full well tip, letting it dry, pinching it, and then finishing off the rest of the nail. Okay? So that's going to solve your ski jump problem. And as the nail grows out, the nail will grow straight. When they come back for a backfill, if you want to put a smile line in, you could do fill before cut. Okay? So going to, someone asked how to get a ballerina shape. I've actually got the perfect setup here, right? So I built an oval nail, right? I built an oval nail. Once I actually have the oval nail, the only thing I'm going to do, check this out, I'm going to square it off. I'm going to square it off. And once I actually square it off, look at the shape I actually get. I get it tapered into that ballerina shape. So it's actually taking an almond, short almond, long almond, build it out, and then square it off. You don't have to build it. You can actually build it in this shape, which is going to make it much easier for you to do. But once you actually have it, again, shaped out, you'll notice that when I actually take my form and I file away my smile line, notice that when I file, I'm always filing in one direction. If I'm looking down the barrel of the nail, I'm not going side to side. I'm looking down the barrel and I'm ensuring that I'm actually working in one direction. And this was the smile line that I actually cut in. I cut in with my bit. Right? This was originally a pink and white nail, and what I am left with is a beautiful glitter-free edge. And again, notice how much time I actually spend filing the surface. I'm going to turn it to the side just like this so that I actually get to see my client profile. I'm going to make sure that it's completely straight on both sides. I'm going to make sure that it's completely even down the barrel of the nail, right? And what you're left with again is you're left with that shape, okay?
How long will safety bit course last?
So the safety bit, someone asked, how long will the safety bit and the safety bit course last? Safety bit course, if you're using it every single day, will probably last you, I'd say, 3 to 4 months. If you are a very heavy user, and what I mean by heavy user, if you're doing probably anywhere from 7 to 10 sets a day, you're probably gonna get 3 months use. After 3 months of use, that core safety bit turns fine. Great to use with gel. So you're probably gonna get, like, I'd say maximum 6 months of use before you're gonna have to get a new one. If you guys notice your X cuts are really hard to cut in, time for a new bit. Any other questions?
Can you turn a square nail into a ballerina nail?
How do you turn a square nail into a ballerina nail? So, like, look again. If I have a square, if this is a square nail, what was that? If I have a square nail and I'm trying to convert this into a ballerina shape, I have to file. Look at this. That square shape, I have to file all my edges in. So what I'm going to end up doing is spending so much time, right? So much time trying to shape it, right? You're going to be wasting time. You have to be able to build it into that shape so that you spend the least amount of time. There is no point in building square and going to ballerina unless you are changing color. If you decide to change color and you want to go from square to this shape right here, honestly, the easiest thing to do, clip it off, cut a new smile line, or clip it off and take down the excess, put a new form, re-sculpt the free edge. It's twice as fast than actually trying to take your square to a ballerina shape. So someone wants to know how to put a form on with a high hyponychium. So let's go ahead and do that. You'll notice that a lot of people with a really extended hyponychium, right, have this problem right here. If I go ahead and put the form on, you'll notice, I just want to go back to this real fast. This is already dry, so what I'm going to actually end up being able to do, if someone has, again, that ski jump nail, I'll be able to pinch right here at her side walls, right here, see this? Right there. And what ends up happening is it ends up putting pressure across this area and forcing the natural nail to grow straight. Okay, so how to apply basically a form to someone who has a really extended hyponychium. And let me go ahead and replicate somebody actually who has high hyponychium. Usually they have a really long free edge. And one of the things you guys will notice is that someone who actually has extended hyponychium, let's go ahead and make it like this, okay? You'll notice that if I turn the hand upside down, their skin is attached all the way to the front of the nail, all the way here, right? So when you're putting a form on, the last thing you want to be able to do is have them go, ow, ow, constantly, right? You want to be able to apply it with comfort. And what you have to be able to do is take your forms and you want to be able to clip away. Again, watch this. I want to take my scissors, and what I want to be able to do is I want to come in and I want to be able to clip away a nice little U right here. See that? Boom. There you go. Just like that. That is going to fit on someone who has a hyponychium problem. And as you can see, I'm going to hold the finger like this. I'm going to be able to come in and fit that nail form without hurting my customer at all. Just like that. So, like, the best part about, I want to show you guys something. The best part about our acrylic is if you look at the ingredients, right, you'll notice right here, ethyl methacrylate. Ethyl methacrylate. There is no MMA in this product. For those of you guys who have seen other artists use the line and talk about how amazing it is, one of the things that everyone always talks about is how soft the acrylic is. So if you're in a situation where you do have to soak it off, my recommendation is try to remove as much of it as you possibly can by clipping off the tip, taking it down, and then whatever excess there is, if you wrap it in cotton and acetone, it'll take seriously less than 30 minutes for you to push it off the nail. But here's the thing. I want to be able to get you guys to a point where you don't need to soak. I want to be able to get you guys to a point where you're able to maintain the enhancement week after week, keep it on their nail, keep the integrity of the natural nail in perfect condition, and again, all you have to do is rebalance. You don't need to remove. Worst situation, if someone says, I want it off, you can remove by clipping off the excess. And again, like you'll notice how easy it is. If that was the tip of acrylic, right? Look how quick I could actually clip it off the nail, right? If that was a tip, if there was actually a plastic tip, I wouldn't be able to do that. I can clip off all my tips, I can file down the excess, I can wrap it in acetone, it's gonna take less than 20 minutes. Realistically, no more than 30 to get it off the nails. Would I ever use an 80 grit file? The answer is no. And the reason why is because when you have a file that is that coarse, it causes a lot of heat. We have all the bits available. You don't need to use something that's that aggressive when you have a safety bit now, a coarse safety bit, right? When you have actually a coarse safety bit that can get the product off basically twice as fast. A lot of the files that we do carry, our 100 grit files are coarse enough, but I mean, you're going to be working with a 150. The coarsest file I would recommend is 100 grit. So the question is, have I ever heard of hybrid nails, and is it possible to work gel with acrylic? And the answer is yes. The first time I was actually introduced to hybrid nails was almost 20 years ago. A mentor of mine taught me basically that the way to do a really nice hybrid is actually to build the tip with acrylic and to fill it with gel. And it usually was associated with problem nails. So the customer comes in, they have bitten nails. What do? I reach for my acrylic. I build their tip, I shape their tip, and I fill with gel. As the natural nail grows, I continue to fill with gel until all the acrylic is gone from the nail. And what do you have? A beautiful natural gel overlay that maintains the integrity of that beautiful growth. There are a lot of artists now that are building free edges with gel and filling with acrylic. You can do that. The technology has allowed us to do that, especially with the products that we have today. Our gel works beautiful with our acrylic. Our acrylic works beautiful with our gel. And yes, you can mix and match to do fantastic hybrid work.
Can you demonstrate how to do a full nail in the shape of a ballerina without using the reverse?
Yes, so someone asked if I could actually demonstrate building a ballerina nail without doing reverse application. And let me go ahead and do that for you guys right now. I'm going to end it with this, and then the next live class we're going to focus on basically the love of art. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly remove the shine from the surface, right? And then what we want to be able to do again is you swipe. I want to be able to come through. I want to be able to clean all the oils and contaminants from the surface of the nail. I want to be able to take my protein bond. I'm going to apply a really, really nice even coat from cuticle to free edge. I'm going to work through all 10 nails. Once I am done, I'm going to come back. I'm going to apply a second coat. Okay. So, Tracy's off. What I'm going to be able to do is I'm going to be able to take my form, I'm going to pre-pinch right here, and notice that I'm actually going to pinch a much tighter tip. A much tighter tip. Okay, now, what I want to be able to do, when I get my form onto the nail, okay, you'll notice, right, that I actually am building it into that shape. So it's going to be nice and tight. See that? It almost looks like I'm doing an almanetto or stiletto shape free edge. Let's go ahead and pick a color that will reflect how to sculpt that nail. When I actually build the free edge first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it right to the tip of the nail, and I'm actually going to bring it all the way down to the front and then use the body of my brush to actually sculpt it up to the edge. Notice how I'm building, right? Notice how I'm actually building. I'm building in that ballerina shape. I'm building into the form. So I'm going to square off the tip, take a look at what I'm left with. I'm already left with great shape. See that? I'm already left with the shape, right, that I'm going to file. So it's a lot easier to do it on a pinched form. It's almost easier to do it on a pinched form, right, because I can narrow out my tip. Now, what I want to be able to do, I want to be able to take a really nice amount. I want to set it right to my cuticle area. I'm going to allow the product to start to self-level. I'm going to make sure that my cuticle areas are nice and perfect. I'm going to allow the product to run all the way down. I'm going to balance it all the way through, and then I'm going to lightly pull from the front of the nail, right? Take a look at that. All I have to do at this point is kind of juggle it through, making sure that my upper arch stays in place, right? I don't want to drag everything. I want to slowly work it to the front. If I need a little bit more, I can take a small amount. I could set it right at the tip. I could feather it up backwards. I could use the body of my brush. I could work it from side to side, just like this. Look at this. It's awesome, right? Wipe my brush. Get it down, wipe my brush of excess residue. And as you can see, I'm actually able to sculpture the shape that you wanted without having to do reverse application. Ta-da! Any other questions? Okay. This is going to conclude our All About Acrylic event. I truly wish all of you a safe holiday and a wonderful new year. We're going to continue with these live events next year to help you get to the next level. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to come out and work with me at my 1-week course. Again, thank you guys for all your support, and we're really looking forward to helping you get to that next level next year. Thanks a million.